Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Roberto Monaco here with Influenceology and the Car Speaking Company. And today I have the amazing, did I say amazing? Yes, I say amazing, the amazing Dr. Jennifer Hastings. What's up, Dr. Jen?
Hey there, good to see you all.
Good to see you. I'm so happy that you're here. Met Dr. Jen years ago. She's just an amazing person, amazing leader, probably one of the biggest hearts in chiropractic, one of the biggest hearts of a human being I ever met. So every time we connect, I feel the love, I feel the passion, I feel the purpose of that you have about helping people. And today we are talking about how to stay on purpose, why purpose is important, because so many people experience so many negative emotions. I was experiencing negative emotions before. Anger during this pandemic, the last 6 months or so. So many people experience the anxiety, the frustration, the stress, and I think it's important more than ever to have a purpose. So today I have an expert here because she doesn't talk about it; she lives. Dr. Jen, so glad to be here.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you. So first of all, we're talking about purpose. I think one of the most important things that people need to ask themselves is, what is your purpose? What is your purpose, and how do we also create our purpose to be lived in every area of our life? And so for us chiropractors, it's very easy. Our purpose is to reconnect people to their healing, their greater expression of life, and a greater experience of life, right? And so that's what our purpose is. But I know that you have viewers from all over the world and in all sorts of professions. I've actually met some amazing real estate agents at some of your seminars. And, to me, years ago, when I met some real estate agents and I met one particular person that was always energized and excited, and it was like, well, how could this person be excited about selling houses, And then as we were talking, she told me, she said that her most exciting sales were those people that were buying their first home, because this was where they're going to build their family. This is where they're going to watch their children grow. This is their first major investment as a couple. And, she went on to tell me the stories of the different, experiences that she had. And so her purpose was not selling a house, but selling a home, selling a lifestyle, right? Selling safety, selling education if the home is in a good community. So it doesn't matter what profession you're in. The first thing you want to ask yourself is, what is your purpose? Somebody that's selling water bottles is not just selling plastic, right? Like this thing right here. Somebody that's selling water bottles is selling, this particular water bottle is a commodity that's easy to carry because it has this clip. So I literally love this bottle because I carry it with my pinky as I carry other things. And when you look at it that way, I could still be selling you a water bottle right now, right? It's BPA free, it's going to help you stay hydrated. So you really want to take a look at what is your purpose. And I believe in subconscious messaging. So how do we stay in purpose once we find it? I'll tell you this, my purpose is reconnecting people to health.
So right? I have a question for you, because since I know you, you exude purpose.
Yes.
On TV, on video, face to face, even when you're not quote unquote being a doctor, or you're not seeing your patients, you're helping people, which I love about you. How did you come up about, how do you actually found your purpose? Because I think a lot of people understand the idea of but sometimes it goes, well, but I have to pay my bills, which is realistic. So how do you actually, how do you figure out your purpose? What's some tips about, okay, how do I get to that place?
Yeah. So, my story is quite unique, and I really pray that people have the availability to have an experience like mine. But I think that what got me there was surrounding myself with extraordinary people. How I found my purpose is my chiropractor invited me to his wedding. And his wedding, I met one of his best friends who told me about this amazing seminar called Dynamic Essentials, right? And at this time I was in college and my major was going to be international marketing because I love travel. So I figured if I do international marketing, I can travel around the world and have it be paid for, right? That was my purpose. It was self-fulfillment, okay? That's the crazy part. And that was my purpose before I went to DE. And when I was in Dynamic Essentials, hugging all these people, I would go to shake my hand as I was being introduced to doctors, and they would pull me and hug me. I'm like, this is the craziest crowd ever. And you've been there. You see how everything's just love and energy, right? And there was a moment where there's this amazing doctor, Dr. Sigafus, stood up on stage, and after listening to all these speakers, and he said, you're not here because you chose to be here. You were chosen to be here. And I get goosebumps as I say that, right? And at that moment, I literally felt like I belonged in the world, and I felt like I found my purpose, and I realized, oh my God, I'm meant to be a chiropractor. And never in my wildest dreams did I see myself before going to med school and taking, biology and anatomy and neurophysiology, because those classes seem very hard. But when I found my purpose, Roberta, this is the most amazing thing. When I found my purpose, there was no stopping me. I switched my major. I went to chiro school. And even having a baby going through chiropractic school and being a single mom, I was pretty clear I was going to graduate and be a doctor. So that for most people, what I would say is surround yourself with extraordinary people that know what their purpose is and listen. And that's another thing about staying on purpose is learn to listen. We live in such a busy world, right, where we're getting bombarded with negative messages. You want to learn to listen to the right things and shut down the negativity. Shut down the news. It's so funny because I do TV. Oh man, sometimes when I'm talking about like not sitting in front of the TV for long periods of time, I got to remember not to say don't turn off the TV. I've done that before. Not good.
As you're doing the live show on TV, that's funny.
Doing the live show and the biggest morning show, right? And for the Latin community, I'm like, yeah, turn off the TV. Don't sit there for long periods of time. Like, oh Lord, I didn't just say that, right?
That's so funny. That's so funny. We have David Brown, follower born in his page. Daniel, buenos dias. I think you did an interview with Sensei Daniel. Eso es fuego. Now, two greats. I love that. We have all the comments coming. Now, Dr. Jen, one question I have for you. A lot of people experience this unresourceful emotional state. Some people define as depression, anxiety, sadness, desperation. And I'm sure you see a lot of your patients who come to your office with that state, maybe more. And sometimes it's really hard. Those emotions kind of like they become a barrier, a block for us to keep on track. Number one, what have you seen in terms of like your community in Miami, how they're feeling, how they're experiencing before they actually come to your office? Number two, what are some tips that you have someone who maybe experiencing too much anger right now or other emotions to kind of refocus and move towards purpose, passion, action? What's some tips that you have?
Absolutely. So number one is we're human beings, and human beings were created to feel emotion, right? And so you can have the two extremes. You can have the person that's like overly emotional, or you can have the person that's overly disconnected. We actually want to live this amazing life experience right in between. And you want to, own those emotions, and you want to experience them, because if you avoid them, they're going to keep coming back. And the experiences that life is going to send you are those experiences that are going to repeat themselves over and over until you learn how to handle that emotion effectively. And then it no longer runs you, but you actually can use the emotion to fuel you with energy. What we've seen in the last few months in South Florida, in my practice in particular, because to be honest with you, I created a bubble in my life. And I created that bubble in my life by not listening to negativity, right? Doing research, because when we get hit with something so big, right, as we were initially presented, as a healthcare provider, as a doctor, and as an educator, I need to learn what's going on. As a person that gets exposed to hundreds of people a week, I need to know what's going on so that I could better serve others and also keep others safe. And what we saw at the beginning was obviously a lot of fear. We saw depression, anger, anxiety. One of the things that we were still seeing until a couple of weeks ago, I would say about a month and a half ago, which has shifted it to good, was almost all of our teenagers were being so severely affected by the isolation that they were having to experience, more so than our adults. And that's because we were created to be human beings of connection, right? So I saw in my practice all these different emotions, and I personally went through them. I initially went through a little bit of fear, but it actually was not fear of the virus, because as a person that lives my lifestyle in a way that I'm always looking to enhance my immune system, enhance my body, my fear, like most of my colleagues, has been losing our freedoms and losing our rights. So that was actually my biggest fear, because, you know, government can have a lot of power. And that's why it's important that we educate ourselves and we align ourselves with those people that are in leadership that have agendas that align with our values and principles. So that was actually my particular fear, because and within the first few weeks, as I studied about everything that was going on, I started to learn that this was not, how do I put it? You know, a lot of people were being negatively affected, but it was a matter of being proactive. You know, the less proactive you've been with your life, the more effective you're going to be. It was a matter of also being proactive if you do have to go to a doctor, so on and so forth. So let's get back to what I saw, which was all this, like the rainbow of the emotions, and then how I started to handle things. Because when we start to get run by the outside in experience of life, which is what was happening at the beginning of this, outside in meaning the news, outside in meaning the, you know, just the fears that the fears that we were being fed, I had to little by little align myself and ground myself, because we are leaders in our community. We are leaders in our practice. We are leaders in our families. And so purpose has to align with leadership. If you have a clear purpose, you are a better leader. If you don't have a clear purpose, you cannot properly lead. And so as I created that bubble, I started to go back, instead of, you know, watching the news, reading the things fed to me by media, I went to reading the science, applying the principles that I've been learning about the last 25 years, right, which are the principles of chiropractic with the science. And then I started to do emotional priming, physical and emotional priming. And, you know, you and I have a future leader that we have learned from and followed, which is Tony Robbins, and he teaches us about priming. And so in my mornings, instead of waking up and going into this little thing to read, right, and fill my brain with negativity, what I actually did is I went into this little thing and I played Audible. And I played audiobooks that aligned my mind with purpose. And so a couple of minutes ago, when I spoke about learning to listen, what I did is I shut off the negativity and I aligned myself and listened to things that filled me with focus, positivity, have high energy, so that I could become a better leader for my family, for my practice, and for my community, you know? And I can tell you, Roberta, that it has made such an impact. And I can honestly also tell you that I have, you know, had about 3,000 interactions in the last 4 months. 3,000 one-on-one interactions. And I can tell you that, like you said, even unconsciously, right, without even thinking, my action in every single interaction is to leave that person uplifted.
I love that. I have chills right now. I have goosebumps. I love that.
That's why purpose is so important. That is, and once again, we also have to align it with where we are at home, with our families, with our spouse, with our children, with our neighbors, you know? So, what I do to stay in purpose is I listen to the good. I listen to what's going to fuel me. I jam some music. Right now, right before getting on the call with you, I was listening to Shakira. And you know, I'm aligning myself with energy. And, you know, I always tell people, and I tell new doctors that are going into practice, when you're driving to the office, jam to that music that wants to make you step on the gas pedal as you're driving on the highway, that gets that adrenaline going. Because when you're up here, right, in your energy level, when you're up high, you're going to have patients, practice members, neighbors that are here. You're going to love them and uplift them when you're here. If you're here, you're going to only bring them right here. Well, there's the camera there. So you want to be up here to really be able to uplift. So I listen, I jam some music, I read. It's hilarious. Right on my bed, and that's not my bed, but this is my office. I have books everywhere, right? And I
love that. I love that.
Keep me, even if I'm not reading the book, I am surrounding myself. There's a bookshelf behind me, and I also have subconscious messaging in my home and in my office. Right here, it says, they said she couldn't, but she did.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, because it's subconscious. is always
I love
absorbing
that.
information. For those of you that are watching us right now, I want you to do something.
By the way, Wayport said, Dr. Jen for president. Hey, I'm all about that. I'm all about that.
Oh, this guy's extraordinary. I love Wade.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you guys do this so you could be aware of the subconscious messaging and how you could use that for your benefit. If you guys that are watching right now, look into my eyes. Don't look anywhere else around me, right? Look just right here. What color of shirt am I wearing? Even if you're just looking at my eyes, you're going to know what color of shirt I'm wearing. What color is the wall behind me? Stay looking at my eyes. You're going to know what color the wall is. And what happens is as we have those positive messages around us, they're going to keep us focused and on purpose. And
I love that.
I love that. To keep that energy up.
I love it. What has been the biggest lesson that you learned during the last 6 months?
Man, first, I love what I do. I love chiropractic. The biggest lesson has been stay aligned with what's right. Stay aligned with principle. Stay surrounded by people that keep you on purpose. You know, DE, I was at DE in January, and all this craziness started here in Florida in March, and it was so such a blessing. You know, Dr. Danny Knowles, we had a virtual seminar with him in April. And the biggest lesson has been for me to stay surrounded by people that are on purpose, because we are humans. We are humans. You know, I'll tell, and we spoke about this right before going on, Roberta. I'm human. You know, a couple of weeks ago, you had your seminar, right?
Yep.
And I did not attend your seminar. And I didn't get to physically attend your seminar because I was dealing with so much emotion inside that it was literally making me ill. I was contracted at night. I would wake up and my throat was like bothering me because I was so contracted here from not speaking up and from feeling all this anger and this emotion. So the first biggest lesson was surround yourself with extraordinary people that are on purpose. And then the second lesson that I actually have is embrace your darkness and switch that into an energy that's going to fuel you to living that purpose. And so I was very angry at everything that was going on, very angry at what I was finding out of the protocols that they're having at the hospitals that were causing people to get more ill, people to die. I actually have some people that work at the hospital that were informing me of protocols that were completely out of line to what they've been doing for the last 20 years. And so just that was having me contracted. And as I learned that it's okay to feel angry, it's okay to every now and then say a bad word, you know, and it's okay to tell people that you're angry, as long as you are, you know, and we spoke earlier about this, and you said the reason why you were angry is because you were on purpose. And when we're angry, sometimes I was raised to be a nice girl and, you know, to please people. And so for me to sometimes own my anger, it's been hard because I have to be nice, right? And truthfully is if we learn to embrace that and we learn to switch that emotion to an energy that could fuel us to take action, then guess what? We can be far more effective. So when I started to actually work through that, automatically there was this switch that people started floating through the doors. And no kidding, the last 3 weeks, we've had such an amazing influx of new patients, new practice members, referrals, you know, and I didn't do anything different other than embrace that darkness and switch it and transform that energy into an energy that is going to help even more people.
I love that you address that, because a lot of people think that leaders or people who are most of the time positive, they don't experience those emotions, and everybody experiences emotions. Now, one thing that I admire about you, you're very vocal on social media. You know, I'm a friend on Facebook. I always like enjoying, and you say some things that go against the norm, you know, and I've seen in the past, you have trolls, you know, and people that never been to your office. They live in a different part of the world, but they try to shut you down or say things, and they never actually experience anything you do. What would be one advice for you? Because a lot of people they don't speak up, because they're afraid of that experience,
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you handle that? How do you handle trolls? How do you handle these people who is easy for them to say bad things because there's no accountability? How do you handle that?
So, so the last troll I actually had, I was pretty pissed because this person went onto my business page and gave me negative reviews and my Google. And, listen, this was my personal social media page. This wasn't even my business page where I was promoting a certain ideal of living a toxin-free life, and I'll say here, legally, I'm supposed to say I'm pro-choice when it comes to vaccines, but I could tell you, once you read those ingredients, I am not doing it. I'm not putting it on my loved ones. And I always recommend for patients to read the ingredients before you make a choice, right? Yep. But I'm very vocal about the lives that have been lost because of it. Just yesterday, a woman finally had the courage to share her experience. She lost her 2-month-old baby after a vaccine, a Hep B vaccine, right? And when I met her, I almost passed out when she told me her story. But one is this, I don't recommend you do this, but once again, this was part of owning my darkness. That last troll, I was actually willing to fly out to California and actually face this person because they were trying to destroy my reputation, right? Most of the time I could tell you could ignore them, but if you're a small business owner and they're trying to destroy your reputation with your business, feel free to confront them. The last person that actually harassed me didn't know is that I'm a very resourceful person. I found out where they work, high school science teacher in California, right? Found out where their wife worked, middle school, and actually elementary school teacher. And I realized, this person's missing it out here. So what I actually did is I contacted his wife and I said, listen, if you could please take a hold of your husband, his psychology, address it, have him remove the reviews. Now, if he has something negative to say about me directly, he could say it to me directly in my personal page, but don't harass my business. Don't give me a negative review when you haven't experienced my services. Otherwise, you guys will get to meet me face to face.
I love how you handle that.
And I was ready to just fly out there. But most of the time, honestly, when you live a purpose-driven life, you're doing the right thing when you encounter the opposition of small minds. Great minds will always encounter the opposition of small thinkers.
Oh, I like that. I love that. I love that.
Fuel to keep moving. Billy D.
Yeah.
Billy D's got lots of trolls. He keeps going. So that's what we have to do.
Love it. Dr. Jen, thanks so much. Now, I'm sure there's people watching through the whole broadcast here. If anybody want to reach out to you to a practice, I included the link here of your website for your practice. Any other social media page you want to promote, people connect with you?
Yeah, you know what? You guys could follow me at my Facebook page, Jennifer Hastings, DC. You guys can also go into my employeewellnessprogram.net website. And here to serve.
What is that?
That is actually my public speakers page. What I love to do is I love to go out there and educate. When you love knowledge, you also love to share it, And so I love to educate companies on ergonomics, injury prevention, how to maintain your employees engaged and energized, because a healthy employee is a productive employee. And so I go into companies and empower the employees to take care of their health and be energized. And in turn, we give exposure to our practice in the local community. And then, as you know, I love to do TV. So love to educate millions of people in 5 minutes. That's pretty cool.
No, I love it. I love it. That's why we're so grateful that you're going to be doing a tailgate session for our upcoming influencing from the front for the virtual presenter coming up. And you're going to be doing a session telling a story about all the amazing work you've done on TV. So super grateful. Dr. Jen, thanks so much. Much love to you and your family. Appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
Appreciate your